Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramon, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. I am so thrilled to have you join us today. This podcast is dedicated to exploring the idea of doing business and living life with a purpose, serving others, yes, achieving success. We believe when we approach our work and our lives with a servant's heart, we could truly make a difference. We created this show for you because we want everyone to be motivated, inspired, and educated to make an impact in your world. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a community leader, or simply someone looking to bring purpose into your daily life, we're here to support you on our podcast. While you're listening to my incredible guest, and we had some incredible conversations before the show started, so you're going to be buckle up because you guys are going to learn so much and be motivated. Think about how you're going to serve today and what impact you will create today from that service. And the key word is today. Let's focus on today. Let's not wait till tomorrow because then a month goes by if you've not served anybody, and that doesn't help the world at all. Today's episode is proudly sponsored by our phenomenal partner, Pantheon Alliance. Imagine being part of an exclusive community of high-income, successful business owners and entrepreneurs from very diverse industries to build a thought leader expert platform to impact and change the world. If you'd like more information, please reach out to me, and I'll get you all the information on the Pantheon Alliance. With that being said, impact is coming from, I say holistic, I could be wrong, my guest will correct me, but he's written some incredible books. He's got another incredible book coming. I want to welcome to the show, Derrick.
How are you doing?
Great, Derrick. Emergence, 7 Steps to Radical Life Change. That's big. That's your book. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to tell about that, but I'll try to be brief in terms of the origin story. Like so many people, I struggled to improve my life for many years. And after years of self-improvement, the only thing I'd improved was my ability to describe why my life was so screwed up. I could tell you all the reasons. I could describe what happened then and then what happened and how it caused me to do this. But instead of it improving me, it made me more frustrated. And I was so focused on finding out what wasn't working and what was wrong and how to make it better. I ended up becoming addicted to drugs and alcohol, and I ended up almost dying of an overdose. And I remember lying in bed in the emergency room and the doctor saying I was lucky to be alive. And I couldn't understand how all of my efforts at self-improvement had gotten me there. And I figured I just need to work harder or work smarter or attract better or something. And I got, motivated again, as those kind of situations can do to one. And things went good for a short time. And then I was doing a movie. I was an actor. I was doing a movie in Jamaica. And everything started falling apart again. And I prayed to get lost from it all. And I went diving in a coral reef and I got lost. So be careful what you pray for, kids, because I got stuck inside this coral reef, which looked like an underwater booby-trapped tomb out of an Indiana Jones movie, and surrounded by fire coral and spike coral, and nobody knew I was there. Nobody was coming to save me, and I was stuck. And eventually, as the sun was setting and I was exhausted, I knew I was going to drown, basically. And I had a moment of true existential surrender. Not like I tried, my idea of the universe or God. I was like, I'll be a good boy. I'll go to church on Sunday, please. Whatever it takes, get me out of this. And there was no, let's make a deal today. It was a moment of real surrender. And in this moment of surrender, there was a flash of light, of awareness. And I saw that this self that I'd been trying to fix, change, heal, and improve was a figment of my imagination, a fictional amalgamation of parental fantasies and societal conditioning and peer pressure. And nothing I could ever do would make him enough. But I also saw simultaneously there was a self, you could say the real self, that had never been damaged or hurt. So he didn't need to be fixed. And this self was also already complete. And so it could not be improved upon. In other words, self-improvement was an oxymoron. Now, I didn't have all these words. It was just a flash. Something cracked open. And in the next moment, I was standing outside of the coral reef. I don't know how I quite got there, but I was standing on this piece of coral, looking down where I'd just been drowning. And I could see the exit had always been just a few inches behind me, but I couldn't see it. And the whole reef, the whole coral reef was this maze that was really a metaphor for my life. I'd been swimming through this maze, following all these brightly colored objects, and I had been lost and I had been gasping for air for a long time. I just didn't realize it. And I was able to swim out the other side, but something had shifted and really snapped inside of me. Humpty Dumpty had fell off a wall and everything was shimmering. And I knew that the guy that swam in was not the guy that swam out. And it was so dramatic, the change inside of me, that I ended up pulling out of society and I became a monk basically for a few years. I literally went to a monastery briefly, and that didn't go so well. Fasting and silent and freaked out, broke into the monk's kitchen in the middle of the night to steal food, and had an out-of-body experience and pretty much ran screaming out of there. But I pretty much stayed living a monk's life for a few years to try to understand what had happened to me, because something dramatic had. And what I discovered was this principle, as I spent a lot of time in nature, that just as there is a seed pattern in everything in nature, everything comes from a pattern. And it's a perfect pattern. And likewise, there is a perfect pattern to each of us and to our whole life and really to the whole universe. And when the conditions are congruent with that pattern, when it's a match, then what is in that pattern emerges. That this is the principle of all of creation, that there's a pattern, and when the conditions match it, it manifests. And there's nothing woo-woo about it. It's science. It's the true nature of evolution. Evolution is not going from nothing to something. This is the big mistake Darwin made. Yes, you heard it here, folks. But evolution is a pattern creating the next condition for its emergence. And it's experimenting to find the next best condition for more of its potential to unfold. Again, that's what happens with every seed. As I understood that, I realized that so much of my efforts to make my life happen was in opposition to how nature had designed us, that we are supposed to make it welcome. That much of my efforts to make it happen from a sense of I'm broken or I'm lacking or I'm not enough or I don't have enough or I'm trying to get something that I don't have, then much of that energy was blocking the natural emergent properties, the natural emergent process. And again, if a gardener had a seed, she wouldn't try to make a plant happen. She would cultivate the conditions that allowed it to become welcome. Or another way to think of it is, right now, your favorite music is playing right here. But you have to know what station it's on. And then you have to tune into the frequency where that music is playing. The minute you do that, that station becomes manifest. You have a manifestation. But where was that music before you tuned in? It was right here. It was always here. And it's always here somewhere on some frequency. You just got to know what channel and you got to tune in. And so that was the big revelation that unlocked everything for me. And I began to start working with nature or with life, with the pattern of how we were designed to grow. And I went from being broke and broken and suicidal, literally, to, within a few days, having an opportunity that I made more money than I'd ever made in a year. And then within a couple of years, I was financially free. I was in love, and my life was just blossoming in many new branches and new fruits. And we can certainly explore this more, but that was the beginning, to understand that we already have it all within us, right? The acorn does not attract an oak tree. The acorn doesn't go out and build an oak tree. The acorn doesn't achieve an oak tree. And the acorn is not an inadequate oak tree. It's a perfect acorn. So wherever we are right now, we're not an inadequate version of what we could be. We're a perfect seed, pattern, or potential. But when you understand this, then you can begin to put that to work. And that book became a bestseller, particularly because it was coming during the time when law of attraction was very popular. And I was showing people that there was a deeper principle, basically.
Yeah, it's a great ROI. I'll just say that right now. Falling in love and financial free. I think everybody in the audience is listening to this show recording is going, yeah, count me in. Count me in.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, and energies, I lived that. My last year's been my best year because of that. I'm not going to get into me. So I totally agree with you. One question, I've actually shared your book, Emergence. What's really the definition of emergence?
Well, yeah, so the emergence is, there's a couple different ways to understand emergence. In science, we talk about things having emergent properties. So like H2O is water, but H and O, hydrogen and oxygen, separate, they're not wet, right? There's no wetness to hydrogen and oxygen. But when you put 2 parts of hydrogen, is it 2 parts? Whatever. When you put H and the O together in the right thing, it creates what's called an emergent property of water or wetness. Now, I would argue the wetness was always there in potential, and the particles coming together just create the condition for that pattern to emerge. To me, emerge, and this is again the difference between a materialistic perspective, which says that consciousness is an emergent property of matter, and matter is fundamental. My experience and study of the last 25 years has shown the opposite, that matter is an emergent property, and that there is already this pattern there. Again, nothing that we've seen in this world has come from anything but a pattern. And so the understanding of extrapolation of that is that, again, there's a pattern in everything, and there's a pattern of everything. And the law of emergence says that when you create the condition that is congruent to the pattern, its potential must emerge. And so that's again the principle behind every seed becoming something, right?
Yeah.
Is that principle. And again, the same thing is true for you and me. And it's true for our business. And it's true for our ideal relationship. There's a pattern. There's a pattern to our life that includes our right work, our right relationship, our body, our business, our bank account. It's all included as the many branches of the tree of our life that is meant to blossom from the seed pattern of our being.
Exciting
Just like
thing I'm
everything
hearing.
else.
Yeah. Derrick, what I'm hearing from you is anything's possible if you get everything lined up.
Yes. I would slightly adjust that. It's not that anything's possible. It's that everything you were created to be is possible.
Gotcha.
And what you were created to be is so much more than you've ever imagined. So there's nothing uniquely special about the greatest beings that have ever lived, leaders, teachers, authors, business executives, entrepreneurs. They're not better or more special than you. They're different, they're unique, but every single individual is a unique individualization of everything in existence. So the potential is infinite. But it's not anything, it's something very specific. You have it. That's why if you came to me and said, Derrick, I could make you one of the best fighter pilots the world has ever known. Do you want that? I'd give it to you right now. I'd be like, no, thanks. I don't want to be a fighter pilot. There's no fighter pilot in me. But you go to the next individual, they'd be like, that's everything I've ever dreamed of. So there's something very specific in each of us, and our desires, our dreams, our heartbreaks, they're all giving us clues. The thing that makes us angry, it's all giving us a clue. It's trying to be a mirror, as Shakespeare said, hold up a mirror to show us, what are you made of and what are you made for? But we haven't learned, we've been conditioned the opposite. In the original mystery schools and the Oracle of Delphi, what did she have above her cave? Know thyself. That was the OG self-help principle. Nothing happened until you did that. There was nothing else before if you don't know yourself, there's nothing else to talk about. But because you can't be yourself, right? If you don't know what seed that is as a gardener or a farmer, you can't grow that except accidentally. So you got to know what it is first. Then does it need water, sunshine, what kind of food, where should it be planted? So we have to know ourselves first and foremost. But that is not how we've been trained. We've been trained, listen to what everybody else says out there. And listen, and that's important, but not to do what I say or what you say or what your teacher said or what the government says or even what your parents says, but to use it as a mirror to get in touch with who are you? What are you made of and made for? And that's a big piece of the emergence work as well.
And the other piece is purpose.
Well, the purpose, everybody has the same fundamental purpose, which is to manifest more life.
Okay.
You could call it more life. Whatever gives rise to more life is the purpose of life, right? Life's purpose is to live and to be. And if you look at evolution, its impulse is not to go from alive to dead. It's to go from life to more life. It's to go from life to more complex life. So the impulse is always life and more life, right? So that's everybody's purpose. But then everybody has a unique mission within that universal purpose. How can I bring forth more life, not just for me, but then as a result of that, for others? In other words, the fruit tree, its mission is to be a unique expression, let's say an apple tree, because that's its unique way of being more life, but then it provides the apples that give sustenance and value so that others. So the fruit of our mission is we're here to give that away to the ecosystem so that we can play our part in, whatever eats those fruits for them to be more alive. Right now, the fruit of all my life experience, I'm giving away right now to the audience. But the deep mission is, this is my unique way of helping you be more alive, of helping you discover what makes you come alive. Don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive and do that, because what the world needs is to come alive, to be more alive. And that's what so everybody has a unique mission. And then we have unique vehicles through which we live that mission. And again, those are intrinsic in our pattern. In the meaning, you're a writer, you're a teacher, you're a coach, you're a healer, you're an entrepreneur. These are unique vehicles through which to deliver that unique mission and that unique fruit or that offering. And then when you put all that together, purpose, mission, vehicle, you get vision. You get the vision of your life. You begin to see the tapestry and the pattern. And now you can go, okay, that's what I'm up to. And then you can begin to go, how do I bring myself into integrity with that vision?
Yeah,
Now, today, as you said, not tomorrow, not when the world gives you permission, but today.
Start working on it. I like that. That's so profound. So this sounds awesome. I'm sure some people are going, wow, this is great. But let's use the example of how do you coach and approach top executives in all this?
Well, and I've coached executives, billionaires and millionaires and media moguls and people from Google and Fortune 500 companies. And everybody has different needs and they come to me from a different perspective. But my mastery in the place that I help the most is cutting through all of the short-term, quick fix, surface level grasping and fears and struggles. It doesn't mean we don't address them, but to get what's the message that your life is sending you about what is it that's trying to emerge? Because again, everything, whatever's missing in your life is something you're not giving. some way you're not saying yes. Someplace you're saying yes, but, or yes, when, or if, right? And you're holding some piece back, or you're not stepping forward, or you're pushing something that is not true. So it's helping them really cut through all that morass and the weeds to get clear on this first and foremost. If success was guaranteed, if it didn't matter, if you didn't have to prove anything, you know, all those questions. Who are you really? What do you really want? What do you really stand for? What do you really want to be? What do you really want to do? What do you really want to create and contribute? And who do you really want to be? If you already had all of these other boxes checked on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you had the money, you had the love, you had the name, fame, and fortune. That's done. Now what? And so again, it's not to say that money is not something to build. It's not to say that there's anything wrong with those things. It's just those having the money and the relationships and all those things that we think are the goal. Those are not the ends. That's the setup, right? That's the structure. That's the foundation. When you have the money and the health and the love and all those things, that puts the pillars of your platform. Now you can launch the rocket of your true destiny. And that has something to do with service. That now when you realize that I've got it all, I'm good, my needs are met, which is the truth about you always, even before you create it, you start to have the understanding that what's left is to give. The fruit tree has no use of its fruits. The vine cannot eat its own grapes. The vine doesn't drink wine. It's like the use of you is what you can give. The flower blooms and releases its perfume and radiates its beauty for your good. But the joy of the flower is to blossom. The joy of the tree is to produce its fruits. The joy of us is to be ourselves and give of ourselves fully, to fulfill our potential. When you are fulfilling your potential, you activate joy. And so joy is there as a signal you're moving in the right direction, not necessarily happiness. Happiness is based on happenstance. It's temporary, and that leads to hedonism and just seeking short-term quick fixes. But true joy, true meaning, true fulfillment is when you are living a life worth living, and you know you're activating a little bit more every day your true potential, often through challenge. And then as you have those things established, you realize that the real purpose of life is to give. As Dr. King said, anyone can be great because anyone can serve. And I remember once, and I'll turn it back to you, but I remember once having this experience. I was walking through the parking lot, I'll never forget. All of a sudden, I just dropped into this space of so much joy and abundance. And all I wanted to do was give away everything that I had. And I was like, it felt so amazing. And then I was like, I don't know what just happened. Maybe I should let my family know, keep an eye on me, make sure I don't give away the whole bank, literally. And because there was nothing greater, there was no greater joy in my awareness than to give away everything that I had. And then that passed within a day or so. And then a while later, it happened again. And suddenly it was that same feeling. It was just like, oh, the greatest joy was just to give, to serve, to love, to give away everything. And the reason it was, and as I realized, is because the feeling was I have everything. But in that moment, I had the realization, and this may sound a little mystical, and I guess it is, but this is how life feels all the time. This is how the rose bush is always feeling. This is how the sun, if it has feelings, is always feeling. It's a feeling of having it all, of having no need except one, which is when you have everything, the only need that remains is to give of it. And so that's our ultimate purpose, to shine in such a way that we become the place through which life is giving. You know, this is why Jesus said, the first shall be last and the last shall be first, and the servant is the greatest among us. And that's not a religious teaching. That's a principle of nature. And that's important for people to know. It can be religious to you if you like religion, but if you're an atheist, you still want to listen to this principle because it's a principle. It's not a religion. It's a truth principle. And when you live in alignment with it, things tend to work a lot better.
Love that you said that. That's what I preach every day, exactly what you're saying. That warms my heart. We're coming to the end here, but talk about your podcast. It's special. I love what you're doing there. Tell us about what it's about.
About Emergence? Yeah, and it's pretty much what I'm talking about, but I go in depth into a lot of different of these principles. There's 7 core principles to Emergence. And within each one of those, there's there's steps and strategies. I talk about the principle, but then I give people specific strategies and things to do. And then I explore many different areas of life, because the Emergence principle can be applied to anything. You could just take everything I just said and look specifically just at your business and apply the template of Emergence to that. Or you could look just at your relationships or marriage or family and just apply it to that. And so I go through a lot of those different, what are called life structures: health, wealth, work, relationships, spirituality, personal development, etc. So you can see, how do I identify the seed pattern in each area of my life? How do I create the conditions for the emergence of that? And what are some of the stumbling blocks? What are some of the limited beliefs, the myths, etc., that I bust along the way? So it's very, very in depth.
Yeah, I like that. And how can people reach out to you, support you?
Well, definitely you can then go to derrickrydall.com, DerrykRydall.com, and there's lots of free trainings on there. They can find my podcast information on there as well. And they can also go to derrickrydall.com/quantum success. And I created a special package where they can have, it's this 3-part deep dive training that talks about how to tap into your deeper purpose, how to know yourself and really develop the self-mastery that is required to be strong enough, resilient enough, clear enough to live that purpose. And then the character of success, which is, how do you design a way of life that makes you a perfect match for that purpose? So I give them these 3 deep dive trainings in that if they want that as well.
Man, living his purpose, living generosity. And that's the other word that comes to my head when you're talking generosity, serving. He's giving you something free. Check it out. I'll have it in the show notes too, so you can click on the link and do
awesome.
That. I like to end with a fun little question.
Sure.
So you have a table of 4 reserved at a restaurant. You're sitting obviously in one chair. Who will sit in the other 3 chairs, dead or alive? Why? And what food would you order?
That's a great question. I mean, for me, I would have Jesus. I would maybe have Buddha. That's a tough one. There's a lot of people I want to sit with. Maybe Einstein. I have a deep connection to Einstein. And so I guess we got Jesus, Buddha, and Einstein. But, I want to have those dinner parties once a month at least, because
oh my God. I'd love to hear the conversation between Buddha and Jesus. It would be so enlightening. Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
They could learn from each other, I know for sure. So most important, what food would they be eating there?
So we'd probably be having some falafels and hummus and
nice.
And it would be kind of a Mediterranean, Middle Eastern, Jewish blend. Jesus was a Jew, Einstein was a Jew. Middle Eastern, I don't know, it'd be probably a Middle Eastern blend. I mean, I love Indian food too. So it'd be a toss-up, but I think probably Mediterranean. It'd be a lot of, we'd be able to dip our fingers in stuff and, like sit down, like on our knees crossed around like a Mediterranean table and really break bread together and really be intimately connected. And Jesus would be turning all the water to wine. I'd be like, dude, I think you might have a problem. Have you talked to anybody about this? So we'd all stumble into the parking lot drunk on love, drunk on the truth. It'd be a good time.
Amen. Well, I got to change the question too. You're sitting in one pillow and the other 3 people, I forgot about that crossing, which sounds just as good as well. Derrick, you're unbelievable. God bless you. Thanks, for brother. What you're doing. It exudes out of you the service, the servant's heart. And people, if you want to be like that, here's a great example. Jump on his website, learn more, connect with him through the website, and jump on. He's got some great programs that I'm helped him promote here that really could take you to the next level. And it's really not that hard, to be honest with you, because I've been through some of his stuff. So jump on that. Don't forget my TV show, Together We Serve, every Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. And, me and Derrick want to thank you so much for watching or listening to this podcast. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.